Thanks. I just wanted to start by sharing with you some insights from a survey that we ran to understand the state of connected planning. We surveyed over 1,000 planning professionals across all business functions in 45 countries and 18 industries to uncover the leading planning trends. We found that business planning is undergoing major disruption, and it's really at the center of finance transformation and the wider business transformation today. Executives confirmed in our survey that business planning is critical to managing costs, enhancing revenues, optimizing resource allocation, and converting strategies into action. 74% of businesses plan more frequently than they did 5 years ago, but 85% failed to execute on all of their plans. It reminds me of the old adage that businesses moved on before the ink is dried on the plan, and this rather devalues the outputs of the planning process and leads to parallel or shadow decision-making culture. Furthermore, 61% of finance professionals believe their organization does not have the right processes to plan effectively, and 86% of businesses face limitations to collaboration, one of the key elements of business planning. So of the top three limitations to collaboration include things like insufficient time, confidentiality concerns, and not enough what I call soak time. That's the time to seek ideas and investigate the impacts of different scenarios. It all seems very familiar to me. Only 36% of businesses are able to incorporate market changes into their plans within a few days, and yet critical assumptions to our plans change daily. I believe that businesses need to fundamentally transform the way that we do planning. My belief is that good decisions made in a timely manner that are aligned with strategy will yield market-leading business performance. Would you move to the next slide, please? I think that decisions make or break a business. So when we look at planning today, it's clear that there must be a better way. The decisions that we make define our business performance, so making them efficiently and effectively will enable us to consistently outperform our peers. One of the substantial barriers that I see to collaboration is the way that we plan in silos. As with any complex process, we want to break down, to make it manageable. However, we continue to break down planning according to business function. And I think this is probably a hangover from the way that IT systems have been designed and optimized in the past. We've evolved our thinking of planning based on the way we understand the past, rather than optimizing the processes of planning around the critical constraints relevant for today, things such as time, business impact, and strategic alignment. Perhaps when we first developed planning processes as finance professionals, the way we organized planning in functional silos, perhaps that wasn't so much of a constraint because planning cycles were long, businesses moved at a slower pace, and the focus was really around controlling costs. Now we prioritize by adding value and driving business performance, which involves understanding the likely outcomes of the choices available to us and aligning stakeholders to make and execute the most impactful decisions. We want to be the provider of choice to deliver products and services to our customers, and anything that prevents us from seamlessly taking the decisions in any part of our business or that delays or impedes the mission reduces the value of our business and what it contributes to society and is effectively organizational waste. In other words, the functional and divisional silos designed to help us execute may also be a substantial impediment to the decisions that underpin business performance. I believe that the solution is to cut across organizational silos seamlessly for planning and decision-making purposes and connect the assumptions to outcomes, functional plans to strategy, and to accelerate execution. As we move beyond structured, isolated processes, we move towards a network of people, data, and plans brought together in real-time collaboration on a single planning platform. So the vision in my mind would be to create a network that supports all planning for all people, and the business would be connected by the very design that's built in to that platform. We know that plans that are not connected hinder us from aligning on assumptions, prevent transparency, slow down decision-making, and encourage misalignment between execution and strategy. And furthermore, just to add to what Larissa said before, we might not limit our thinking to just planning within our organizational boundaries. We know that businesses work in partnership to deliver value, and I'm seeing incremental value being created across businesses who are planning vertically in the value chain, such as a global business, a global beverage company who plans production with a network of independent bottlers and in conjunction with their fast food restaurant customers. Connected planning can be defined by three major characteristics. It's dynamic, which means that planning can be updated all the time. It's collaborative, so it's designed for ease of use and widespread involvement. You shouldn't need to be a computer coder to use it. It should be accessible to subject matter experts, process owners, strategists, and all business decision makers. In other words, the learning curve for adoption is low and accessibility is high. And lastly, it's got to be intelligent. It needs to leverage the latest predictive, artificial intelligence, and machine learning technologies. It accommodates both historic data, real-time information, including that derived from outside the organization. By infusing technology-aided predictions, users can focus on higher value tasks, knowing that the data and assumptions are continually up to date and secure. Strategy is connected to execution. Decision makers are led to the optimal solutions by the predictive capabilities. So would you mind moving to the next slide, please? So what have I learned about bringing a digital mindset and challenging the assumptions that underpin the traditional ways of planning, knowing that these are no longer relevant for today? So connected planning involves ongoing cultural change with an expectation of immediacy of execution and insight. I often ask what would it take and what would need to be true to make it possible in order to gain the insight and immediacy within our planning processes. And this usually uncovers all manner of waste. Connected planning is truly transformational. It impacts the speed at which we can execute, enabling even the largest organizations to be agile. More than that, connected planning enables the next evolution of business operating models and focuses our investment in the resources that have value for our customers and stakeholders. I've read articles and I work with people who might describe themselves as millennials, and they're said sometimes to crave responsibility, expect self-service and immediacy, to which they've become accustomed to in this digital age. So I say, why not harness this enthusiasm and pace, supporting millennials and our wider workforce with enterprise processes that provide insight, narrow the recommended choices in line with predetermined strategies and the predicted outcomes. When all decisions are recorded in a single platform, it's easy to understand which decisions were good, what the decisions look like at the time it was made, and what we can learn about the person and the decision that can help us perform better in the future. Bringing decisions in from the water cooler into a platform where they can be evaluated provides a rich set of data in which to improve future decisions and manage the performance of our teams. It comes with a number of powerful advantages, such as a dramatic increase in the spans of control of management, whilst delivering substantial cost savings. I see further benefits from speeding up decision-making processes, reconfiguring the middle management to serve the decision makers and invert their teams, and further opportunities to remove non-value-added processes from the operating model. And whilst it's easy to talk about the capabilities, opportunities, and benefits that connected planning brings, the implementation of connected planning will be different between organizations because they prioritize different strategies and operate in different industries and with different constraints and advantages. So I'd just like to touch on this if you'd move to the next slide, please. So when implementing connected planning, I find that no one journey that's typical. I see deployment roadmaps that are prioritized to deliver the strategic objectives of the business. Connected planning is deployed in an agile manner with a focus on time to value and multiple projects sequenced over time, each taking weeks or perhaps at most a few months. This allows organizations to capture value, learn and reprioritize with complete control over the speed and cost of implementation. I believe that this is important to minimize risk and adapt the speed of implementation so that you can accommodate the capability and culture change that's needed to evolve. And each step demonstrates its own value, but amplifies the value exponentially as you increase coverage of people, data and plans, and leverage the investments you've made in earlier steps.